Then I decided I would spend the summer writing a novel. That would fix a lot of people. I strolled into the kitchen, dropped a raw egg into a teacup of raw hamburger, mixed it up and ate it. Then I set up the card table on the screened breezeway between the house and the garage. A great wallowing bush of mock orange shut off the view from the street in front. The house wall and the garage wall took care of either side, and a clump of birches and a box hedge protected me from Mrs. Ockenden at the back. I counted out 350 sheets of caressable bond from my mother's stock in the hall closet, secreted away under a pile of old felt hats and clothes brushes and woolen scarves. Back on the breezeway, I fed the first virgin sheet into my old portable and rolled it up. From another distanced mind, I saw myself sitting on the breezeway, surrounded by 2 white clappered walls, a mock orange bush, and a clump of birches and a box hedge, small as a doll in a doll's house. A feeling of tenderness filled my heart. My heroine would be myself, only in disguise. She would be called Elaine. Elaine. I counted the letters on my fingers. There were 6 letters in Esther, too. It seemed a lucky thing. Elaine sat on the breezeway in an old yellow nightgown of her mother's, waiting for something to happen. It was a sweltering morning in July, and drops of sweat crawled down her back, one by one, like slow insects. I leaned back and read what I had written. It seemed lively enough, and I was quite proud of the bit about the drops of sweat like insects, only I had the dim impression I'd probably read it somewhere else a long time ago. I sat like that for about an hour, trying to think what would come next, and in my mind, the barefoot doll in her mother's old yellow nightgown sat and stared into space as well. "Why, honey, don't you want to get dressed?" My mother took care never to tell me to do anything. She would only reason with me sweetly, like one intelligent, mature person with another. "It's almost 3 in the afternoon. I'm writing a novel," I said. "I haven't got time to change out of this and change into that." I lay on the couch on the breezeway and shut my eyes. I could hear my mother clearing the typewriter and the papers from the card table and laying out the silver for supper, but I didn't move. Inertia oozed like molasses through Elaine's limbs. That's what it must feel like to have malaria, she thought. At that rate, I'd be lucky if I wrote a page a day. Then I knew what the trouble was. I needed experience. How could I write about life when I'd never had a love affair or a baby or even seen anybody die? A girl I knew had just won a prize for a short story about her adventures among the pygmies in Africa. How could I compete with that sort of thing? By the end of supper, my mother had convinced me I should study shorthand in the evenings. Then I would be killing 2 birds with 1 stone, writing a novel and learning something practical as well. I would also be saving a whole lot of money. That same evening, my mother unearthed an old blackboard from the cellar and set it up on the breezeway. Then she stood at the blackboard and scribbled little curlicues in white chalk while I sat in a chair and watched. At first, I felt hopeful. I thought I might learn shorthand in no time, and when the freckled lady at the scholarships office asked me why I hadn't worked to earn money in July and August the way you were supposed to if you were a scholarship girl, I could tell her I had taken a free shorthand course instead so I could support myself right after college. The only thing was, when I tried to picture myself in some job, briskly jotting down line after line of shorthand, my mind went blank.